try to figure out who I am.
Hello Inkies and welcome to another video. Today's video is just another journal with me. I did a poll, or not really a poll, but a question about what you wanted to see from me because I'm feeling a little bit less creative during the school holidays. It is very exhausting dealing with my two teacup humans, and a lot of the answers were just watching me create, and so I decided that is exactly what I was going to do. I am really enjoying the standard size, and I always loved it when I was using my standard to begin with, and I hadn't used it for such a long time, so it's nice to kind of return to my journaling roots, so to speak. But I'm just really enjoying how the pages are coming together and trying different things, trying different ways of journaling in here. And I decided to have a little play with altering some of my collage elements and adding bits and pieces to try and get a quirky little creature happening. And there's not that much of a voiceover needed for this video. I'm just going to let the music play. It's very straightforward. I'm not doing anything new or wonderful or any new technique or anything. I'm just playing with all my paper bits. I am using magazine clippings and also a printout that Sian sent me with a whole heap of scanned images of eyes and lips that she had collected. So that's where you'll see me using different eyes and lips and things like that, like these amazing bright pink ones. So you'll see me playing around with those, but generally everything else is either a magazine clipping from like a Vogue magazine, or bits and pieces from previous collage sheets, or collage sheets that were only just released last month. So I hope you enjoy this video. I don't really need to chat that much more to you, but I will keep watching the video and see if I need to add anything extra for you guys. Just have a play with some collage elements, guys. That's pretty much what I'm doing today, and it was so nice and relaxing, and I loved using all the crazy bright colors in this spread. Because I've been in vintage mode for so long, I always forget that coming home to the bright rainbow punch you in the face color is definitely my playhouse.
You know we could run to a place where we belong, but I need you there with me to go on. Sometimes I can't see, but it feels like you're the one who saves me. And when I try, but don't succeed, yeah, it feels like you're the one who saves me, the one who saves me.
Putting our life in boxes, erasing the memories so you won't notice. I'm taking the time to focus. You're by yourself, I'm by myself. Wish I could solve your problems. They're stuck on my wall like neon paintings, and I'm so tired of being honest to everyone but myself. I do it so well. We were so good at flying, but we can't keep flying. We keep getting stuck on the wrong side of the mountain. We were so good at trying, but we can't keep trying, 'cause we only end up on the wrong side of the mountain.
Even though I haven't done my Creatures Reimagined video just yet, I actually lost a heap of the footage that I had with Sam and Sian, where they did a whole heap of different creatures and rearranging collage elements. I cannot for the life of me find the footage, so I may have to get them over again to sort of recreate or refilm those segments. This is very much part of that process where you're taking elements that you already have and you're adding things and changing things like eyes. Obviously this girl's face was from this month's collage sheets, and I literally cut her face out. So I cut her hair off, I cut her body off, and I'm just using her face. I've covered up her eyes with different eyes. I've added antlers, I've added little collage mini buns, and now I'm adding a painted fringe to sort of be very self-portrait-y of me. And it's those simple little tweaks that you can completely change how this girl looks from when she was in her original form to what she does now. And now she looks very cool and quirky instead of lovely and wholesome like the actual original. Her dress is actually a cut out of a piece of a like high fashion jacket from a magazine. It's literally, I cut it in a really weird shape, and then when I looked at it, it looked like one of those oversized sweaters, and so I went with that. Sometimes I will cut shapes out of magazines in weird shapes and then try and make something of it. It's kind of like how I play with watercolor when I put down watercolor blobs and try and make faces. I kind of do the same thing with paper. I just cut random shapes and see if I can make something of it. And it's the randomness that makes your brain think more creatively. If you're trying to do something deliberate, it never seems to work out. But when you let your imagination go a little bit wild, you can definitely come up with some really fun and fantastical ways to use your collage elements, as well as your watercolor paints and stuff like that. But just letting go of control is definitely one way to feel a bit more creative and a bit more spontaneous.
You want to leave this place where we grew up, this old town, just put it all behind. Remember you and I would always find somewhere to hide when we were kids, so we could see and hear the water run. The river's gonna cry when you're gone. River's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. River's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. River's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. River's gonna cry when you're. River's gonna cry when you're. River's gonna cry when you're gone.
Although this guy didn't get used in this spread, he will end up in a spread later on, I'm sure, and that sometimes happens when you're making collage fodder or you're making tip-ins. They don't generally work with what you're working with, and so you just put it to the side. I was trying to fit him on that page. I mean, he could go there, but I just, for some reason, it wasn't meshing with me. It didn't have the right poppiness that the left-hand side did, so I think I like half tip it in and then realized that I've made a mistake and it didn't work. And then I decide to do something completely different and create another tip-in for the journal spread.
The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone.
I was trying to give him different eyes and see if those giant pink lips would work on him, and that was because I was trying to force him into the spread to try and give him the same sort of vibe as the girl on the left, and it just wasn't working for me. And that's the whole process that I go through. I, as Jane likes to say, audition things in and out to see if they work, and as I'm watching it, like now. Those lips on him look absolutely outrageous and totally could work. And I think the lips could have worked on both her and him, and maybe at a later date I might use those. But I'm just trying to work out, what do I want on the other side of the page? I don't want anything that's competing with the girl on the left, because she's so cool and I really enjoy her. And I do make another tip in. I make two actually, and I have a collaged creature on one side of the tip-in and a background piece. I decide that the collage creature will be competing and not complementing my left-hand girl, so I decide to turn my tip-in around so that the facing graphic background is facing her. So when you look at the page, you see the graphic background in her, and then when you turn the tip-in over, the girl is covered up and you see the other creature. So even though I have two creatures or two collaged elements, I don't want them to compete for my eyes. I don't want them to fight for your attention. So I made the executive decision a little bit later on to have him facing the other way. And so that means that no matter what page or what section of my journal spread you're on, there will be a creature in view. And these are some of the silly little things that go through my mind when creating my journal pages. And I always think that they're tidbits that I forget to tell you about my creative process. But I know you guys love to hear how my brain thinks, and even though I haven't actually made the second tip-in yet, if I didn't say it now, I would totally forget to add that little bit of information. I always make sure that my pages work cohesively, and yes, there's a lot going on in my journal pages. They're very bright, they're very colorful, they're very crazy, there's lots of things going on, but I always want to try and make sure that everything has its place and everything works harmoniously as much as possible. I mean, sometimes I'll make a creative decision that I will hate later on, but it's like these blue lines here and adding those passport photos, they needed something to back onto, and the pink solid paper wasn't working, so I'd added the pink paint pen scribbles, so there was like something breaking up all those lines. And adding the pink is tying it to the mini buns on the girl and the pink in the other page. So they're weird little creative decisions that I make, but they all sort of factor into the overall look of what I'm going for in my journal.
Try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day.
Secondhand, I felt a bit forgotten. Not your plan, but now the days of silence outgrow the fun things we have done. But tell me, do you wanna carry on? Plants don't grow without water, and they cave when it's cold. We could go till we're older. Put your head on my shoulder and let's enjoy the ride. When we started, our wishes aligned. We were like yin and yang combined. Now the tables have turned. Can we live and unlearn? You tell me. Plants don't grow.
Like I said, I'm trying to force that little creature into that page and he is not working, and I'm getting frustrated, so I decide to leave him be. and start working on a separate tip-in and creating it from the ground up instead of trying to force something that's pre-made already. I mean, I'm using the background from this month's pages in the tip-in card. It has the same sort of colors, it works, it's fine, and I'm using bold numbers so that they really stand out, because the black on top of all that really bright colored stuff really goes nicely. And so I'm just sort of haphazardly, I know that my collage elements that I'm putting onto this tip-in are quite large, so I don't need to do a lot of fussy cutting, I don't need to cover a lot of space. I'm just literally laying down colored pieces of paper from the background sheet that you got this month. I've hacked it up and just added some markers in the complementary colors as well. Obviously the blue, the teal, the yellow and the pink are my signature colors that I use all the time in varying shades. And then just adding little scraps of paper, because I know that a huge part of this tip-in is being covered up by the collage element I'm just about to put on. So I'm not painstakingly spending stacks of time on this tip-in. There's just no reason for it. I don't need to work harder. I need to work smarter, and I keep telling myself that. So I'm just like, you don't need to, fussy line draw or anything like that. Just go in and make a mess, make some creative mess that's colorful and bright. And then I start adding my collage pieces together onto the tip-in.
Close your eyes, get some rest. I'm by your side. Lay your head on my chest. I know you've had.
Now, I love how these guys look together, but they will fight for attention, like I mentioned previously, because they're very weird and wonderful and wacky. I didn't want to have him poking out the side. I didn't like how that looked. So this is where I go, okay, fine. I'm going to cover this with this is me thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Tapping my fingers. Cover it with a graphic print. I love this paper pad from that Once a Piece of Paper. I get asked about it a lot. There is a previous video all about it, so I'm not going to go into it. But it's got some really cool collage papers that came with the book itself. And it has this really good black and white print that's coming up very soon. I pull out heaps of pages actually to try and see which one will work, and then I see that one and I know that that's what it's going to be, but I tend to grab out a whole heap thinking, okay, let's trial all these different things, and that's when you can see me sort of trialing them to see which one looks best. And obviously the black and white always seems to look best. And then I add that black and white to the back of this tip-in so that I've got some graphic print on there that is, a nice, it still blends really well with the bright colors. I love really bright colors and black and white graphic print. They go really well together. They just are like, scones with jam and cream. That's what they remind me of. They just really complement each other, and because I had a lot of color going on, I needed a graphic print and I needed more journaling space as well, so I do add a more neutral piece of paper in the center of this tip-in, so I don't just have a giant black and white spotty tip-in. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people may love that, but I'm always talking about maximizing my writing space while still having some of the elements like my creatures in there. So I'm always trying to add tip-ins to sort of regain the writing space I lose by adding my creatures to the pages.
We're Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand. Hey, darling, I love it when it's me and you, on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for two. Hey, darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand. Ooh. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand?
Alright, I think I am done. I'm just going to glue these lips down onto my, because I think they go nicely right there. I've got spots for journaling here. I love the black and white dot. I didn't want to cover it all up, but I didn't want to add another creature. I've got 2 already on this spread, and so I decided to add a very neutral thing to tone it all down, but still looks cool, with some just brown paper that came in some packaging. This little girl is all sort of mixed up from magazines. I have this printout that Sian made and was cutting out all lips and eyes, and I just put several on the same page so I could size them down, because I also have one, so these are 2 different sizes, so there's 2 on one page here and there's 4 sets on here, so they're all different sizes because I didn't know which one would work the best. And I really like the rainbow colored eyes on her. And then I decided to add some really sad looking blue eyes to my little cloud person. And the reason why is because when I was doing, as you can see, I took the picture of Sian out of here and added Fight Like a Girl with the Sailor Moon scepter, and have it all pink and lovely, and it still sort of ties in with the Japan theme, because we were all showing our passports. The girls, Sian obviously didn't have one at the time, so she's got hers. Sam found hers yesterday, and I've always had mine sort of close by, so they wanted me, well, they're going to also journal the passport photos, and I still wanted to have a sort of funky Japan vibe, because that's kind of what's on my mind at the moment. I should put my lid on my glue. And so I wanted it to be all bright and colorful like my Japan journal is at the moment, my travel journal. And obviously I'm excited to start sort of prepping a new one over the next couple of weeks. And so I wanted to have a really bright, sort of kawaii, vibrant, quirky page. And this guy reminds me of a sad sumo wrestler. And that's why I laughed when I put him together. It may not work for you guys, but I didn't know what else to do. But I still wanted another character on the page. I decided to group my little things in little sections so that I can do a little bit of journaling each day, because I've been trying to do a bit of journaling here and there. So you can see that I've got my journaling in here, and I haven't put any journaling on this page yet because I'm not quite sure where I want this page to go, but I've been slowly adding my journaling to my pages as I go. But I've got Japan fever on the brain, obviously, and the girls are really excited. They're going to come over one night this week, I think, and we're all going to book our flights together because I have to organize mine and hubby's flights because he's coming later on. So it's just kind of what's playing in my brain, and you guys wanted to see more of a sort of journal with me with some creatures and things, so I kind of decided that that's what I would do today, just play and enjoy playing with paper as usual, because if you haven't tuned in lately, it is currently school holidays here still, and it is mega draining on your creativity. And I love my children to death, love them to death, wouldn't change anything about them except maybe their behavior towards each other. And so it's really draining, and it really does put a really big sort of wrench in your creative mechanisms. And like, I didn't want to make anything because I'm just so drained playing referee at the moment and listening to all the dobbing. And you'd think that I had toddlers at this stage, but I don't. I have one in high school and one almost in high school, and they're acting like they're 5, and it is driving me insane and reminds me of why they're not coming to Japan this time around. And so I always felt bad for saying no, you can't come, but every time they have an argument or there's someone coming to dob on so-and-so, or I can hear them playing bloody murder out there, I remind myself this is why it's just you, hubby, and the girls. Well, the girls and I first, and then hubby and I. But I really like how it's turning out. I think it's nice and bright and colorful. I think my pages in here are doing really well. It reminds me that I do love the standard size because it doesn't take me as long to create the pages, which is always good. I really like this tip in. Maybe I can't make it, maybe I can replicate it-ish with my own black and white background, because I think that'd be really cool as a tip in for you guys. I love these hot pink lips. They look fantastic. Maybe I'll do that for one of the cards, one of the tip-in cards, and maybe even this guy, because this is all me, so why not? Do you want a sad sumo wrestler? I mean, you could make your own actually. It's all from my stuff, my collage sheets. I could probably do this girl. I might even scan this page for you guys because there's no dates or anything on it, and it's all mine. This is a magazine. Do I have that close by? I kind of moved everything around for the talking bit. Anyway, I can't find it, but it was like a girl's article of clothing. But she's reaching for the stars. Maybe, we'll see. If you want anything specific, if you would like to see some of these things in your collage sheets, let me know so I know. My battery is now flashing, so that means it is time for me to go before I get cut off. I hope you enjoyed this little quick journal with me, and get some color onto your pages. Get some crazy, bright, colorful, really radical creatures happening in your journals, and I'd love to see them in the Facebook group. But that's all from me for now. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.